Hey everyone, welcome to Day Deal on Display, daydeal.com's own YouTube channel regarding product previews, reviews, and demonstrations. Today we're going to be looking at the Body Glove Matrix Snap-on cover for the T-Mobile G2. Now, just in case you're curious, we have left that in its original retail packaging, and this is probably the same case you were looking at your local T-Mobile store, or your local cell phone service provider. Now, the reason why we wanted to leave it in its retail packaging first is because we wanted you to get a good look at it to make sure we're talking about the same cover, and we also wanted to go and flip it over and show you the actual serial code. So if you see the serial code SUPA 35426, we are talking about the same cover, and this is called the Body Glove Matrix. Now, some of you out there may have been introduced to this inside your G2's catalog manual. You may have actually seen this product on sale there, and you can go ahead and order it. And some of you just may have been lucky enough to go and see it right there available when you actually went to pick up your phone. Whatever the situation was, that's the same case we're reviewing. We just want to go and clarify that for you. So let's go and remove this from the actual retail packaging right here. Get this out and even. I'm going to put it right next to the actual display version of the T-Mobile G2. Now, unfortunately, we do not have the live phones. We will be using a display version in its stead. This is the official display version. It's the same exact one you would find at your local T-Mobile store, the one that they would leave on display for you to go and check out, of course, without actually showing you the unit itself. Now, the Body Glove Matrix snap-on cover is pretty simplistic as far as cases go. There's nothing really overly elaborate about it where you kind of need an elaborate review, so I'll be nice, short and sweet as possible. It basically comes in two pieces, and as the name implies, this is a snap-on cover. So unfortunately, it's not a shell design. So what does that all mean? Well, with snap-on covers, you will notice on both pieces, there are these little teeth that are located at either the corners or on the sides, and they require to physically snap onto the phone itself to go ahead and hold its shape. Without the phone, these items cannot hold their own form. In other words, you cannot basically put them together and make a shell out of it. So what this implies is that the actual fit on the phone is either going to fall into two categories: slightly loose or slightly too tight. And the reason why we mention those two is because all the snap-on cases we've seen today for a variety of phones either fall under those two categories. It's really rare for a snap-on cover to just kind of get it just right. And the reason being is because snap-on design, some people have a really difficult time installing it, so they make it a little bit looser for them, which doesn't necessarily give you the best fit, but it's easier to install and remove. On the other hand, the ones that are a little bit too tight, they're nearly impossible to remove unless you know exactly what you're doing. A lot of people get frustrated, they get a vent on forums saying, oh, this is the worst case ever, I couldn't even remove it, scratched up my phone, etc. And we totally understand that. That's because the fit is too tight, the teeth are way too large. We've handled some of those cases ourselves, and even with our knowledge and know-how and our tools, it's really exceedingly difficult. Now, the Body Glove case falls under the previous category of cases that are slightly loose on the phone, so you don't worry about installing and removing. It's actually quite easy, but like we said, it does affect the overall feel and appearance of it, unfortunately, as a side effect. Now, talking about the bottom piece first, which is more or less the main piece, you can see on the interior right there, they have a nice, very thick layer of suede / microfiber material. This is going to go ahead and cushion your phone ever so slightly, as well as providing a layer that's not going to go and scratch up the rear of the G2. We all know that has a nice shiny finish to it. Now, talking about the top piece that goes over the slide portion of the phone itself, this is unfortunately not as nice as the bottom piece. There's nothing really much going for it. It's a wireframe design, and we felt that it was a little bit loose, as well as just a little bit kind of on the light side. In other words, we thought it was going to be a little bit thicker. So it's very, very pliable, as you can imagine. Now, I'm going to go ahead and install this on the T-Mobile G2 display version right now, just to show you how it all works, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick run-through of the phone with the case on. Now, this being a snap-on cover, you just want to make sure to push everything kind of as hard as you can. Of course, you don't want to damage your phone in the process. But until you hear some nice loud clicks, to make sure that the case is properly installed. The top piece is a little bit trickier. You want to go and slide out the screen right there. You're going to want to go ahead and line this up in the proper orientation. Sorry about the little camera movement right there. And then you're going to want to go ahead and slide it in from one side like so. So you see what I'm doing right here? Slide that in on one side. Go ahead and work your thumbs around the edges to make sure everything is lined up properly, and then closely examine the other side and make sure this piece right here is installed properly. And it does take some practice to go ahead and get used to. Now, the reason why you want to go and emphasize this point is because if you do not get this clip on correctly, this piece will literally fall right out on you. And like we said, that was the problem with the somewhat loose fitting top piece right there. As you can see right here, it's not the best fit. So now they have everything nice and snapped into place. This is how it should look. Now the front of the T-Mobile G2 isn't hindered in any way. We always like a skeleton design for the front screen because people just are used to touching it with their thumb or whatever finger they're using, and they don't want anything in the way. And if there are any proximity sensors or any special sensors along the beveled edge, of course we don't want the case blocking that, so this is always a good design. On the top right there, there's an opening for your power button and audio jack, pretty self-explanatory. On the other side, a nice huge and large opening for your volume up and down buttons, as well as your USB port. On the other side, a button, or I should say opening for your camera button, as well as the rear latch lock, the one that actually lets you take it off and install your battery or SD card. Of course, it should be noted that even though there's an opening for it, you really can't use it as long as the Matrix is installed on the G2. So kind of unusual to have that open anyway, but we understand why they did so. And on the bottom, there's an opening for the microphone as well. On the rear, a large opening for the camera and lens, which is always a good thing. You don't want any feedback while taking pictures. And of course, a little opening for the phone's built-in speaker, and the Body Glove logo adorning the bottom. Now, the biggest draw of the Matrix case is that it's a relatively easy to use cover. It's just a snap-on case after all. There's nothing complicated about it. You don't have to read an instruction manual like a certain OtterBox case that will remain nameless for the time being. And as well, it's the if you like this design, as you can see, it's kind of like a pixelated shimmering design, almost kind of like a disco ball. The more you move it around, you will notice that that light reflects off it. And if you look at the gray and white boxes, you can see they're changing right in front of your eyes, almost kind of like a holographic effect. But of course, in person, it looks much better. As far as protections go, the front lip on the top surface of the G2 isn't the thickest one we've seen. It does do the job, but ever so slightly. So if you happen to rest the phone on its face by accident or on purpose, you're going to be covered, but just don't guarantee that if you happen to drop the phone on its face, that's going to be 100% scratch proof. Like we said, the lip is there, it's just not as thick as we would like it to be. We also want to go ahead and mention that the fit on the top piece isn't the best we've seen at all. As you can see right here, there's kind of a warp bow effect to it right there. If I go and bend these edges out a little bit, and that's unfortunately due to the reason of the clips being on the top and the bottom. With no clip to restrain it on the side, you're going to go ahead and get that bow-like effect, the one I'm doing right now. And I'm not straining to do that. I'm barely tugging at it, and as you can see, it's very loose. So it really kind of detracts from the overall niceness of the case because that fit isn't flush all the time. So if you hold it at an angle, you can kind of see it protruding, especially when you open the phone. You can see it protruding very much right there. You can see even that gray line from the outside of the T-Mobile G2 is shining right through. It really should have been more flush and pushed down like this, but unfortunately it isn't. Now, as far as slide operation goes, your T-Mobile G2 isn't hindered in any way. It's a very light and low profile case overall, and as you can see, your keyboard is fully accessible. Nothing's really kind of getting in the way. Some of the older G1 cases had this real big problem affecting the slide operation of the phone, so I'm pretty sure a lot of manufacturers have learned their lesson, Body Glove included. And that's pretty much it. So what do we overall feel about the Body Glove Matrix snap-on cover for the T-Mobile G2? Well, at the time being, it's the most readily available case. So as you can imagine, we think that that alone does have some merit to it. But there was nothing that wowed us about the case. We do like its design. It is very pretty. The Matrix case does have a nice shimmering disco ball effect, like we said. It is relatively low profile. It's not that heavy at all, and it doesn't really add that much girth on your phone, which is surprising for a Body Glove cover. But we consider it a above average protector case, something that you need right now. Go ahead and buy and stick it on your D2. Probably down the road you will be looking at other cases. The grass will be definitely greener on the other side, and you're probably going to be putting this away, and then it's probably going to be regulated to backup case duty, which is in case you lose your other one or damage it. But like we said, it's an above average case. If you get it, no harm, no foul. It's still a good protector. It offers pretty decent protection. It looks relatively nice. It's lightweight and it's readily affordable. I think MSRP asking price was around $29.99, but you could definitely get it cheaper than that. And if you don't get it, you're not missing much either. So you're really okay with and you're okay without the Body Glove's Matrix snap-on cover for the T-Mobile G2. So take that for what it is. Of course, you're more than welcome to check out other people's opinions of it. And remember, this is available, or should be available, readily available at right now, the launch of the T-Mobile G2. So check it out on our website. We have them in stock at daydeal.com. And feel free to check out other accessories for the G2 while you're there, and of course while they're trickling in. And feel free to follow us on our YouTube channel, Day Deal on Display, for more product previews, reviews, and of course demonstrations. Thanks so much for watching.